When was the last time you actually finished something? Hi, I'm Julian. This is my face. Not him, the other one. I've been asking myself that question every couple of months for a while now. And as far as I can remember, I spent my teen years bursting with ideas and projects. But nothing ever came of it, and the ideas started to come fewer and further between. For 5 years of my life, I've done more or less nothing. Some scrappy projects coming from bursts of inspiration aside. And it occurred to me, after writing for this year's NaNoWriMo, that I can count the number of projects I've actually finished on one hand. And those projects are very far apart. I was watching Yahtzee's Dev Diary series sometime before the new year, and some gears were shifting around in my brain. This person was creating one complete game every month. That was something that could be done. And I asked myself why I couldn't do the same thing. I weighed up the pros and cons in my head, and they went something like this, with the cons coming to mind first, naturally. Cons. Artistic skills of a 5-year-old. I'm intensely volatile and suffer heavy mood swings which could mess with my motivation and discipline. I have a dismal attention span. I've only a very basic knowledge of programming. I have no musical talents of any kind, and I live in a village in the middle of bumfuck nowhere with no transport or peers with similar interests. The pros. I'm a NEET, living the dream. I'm a somewhat decent writer, I think. I have a very basic knowledge of coding. You know, glass half full and all that. I have the entire internet at my fingertips as a learning tool. And most importantly, if I don't finish something soon, I'll probably kill myself. After some contemplation, I realized I was still excited about the idea. That doesn't happen that often nowadays. Deciding to chase that feeling, if nothing else, I made a New Year's resolution to create a game every month for 12 months. The first day of the new year came around, and it was time to kickstart the creative side of my life again, after waiting a day or two for the cumulative hangover to subside. So what's the first step? An idea, I suppose. A few years ago, I was deluded enough into thinking I had the discipline and the skills to make anything I want. I had new ideas all the time, but the ideas well dried up quite a while ago, when it became as obvious to me as everyone else that I would barely start, let alone finish working on any projects. I just couldn't bring myself to get inspired anymore. With this in mind, I decided I should just chase after something. Anything. I looked on random game idea generators and started drawing up blueprints for the first thing that came to mind. Eventually, I had an idea. Nothing too ambitious or technically demanding, something I might actually be able to achieve in a month. So here goes. You ever play games like Super Crate Box, Duck Game, and Stick Fight? I always enjoyed those kind of games, and I especially enjoyed being blasted around the map by the most powerful gun I could find. So I decided to make an entire game of it. The idea is simple. A man activates an absurdly powerful minigun and is unable to turn it off. He has to navigate multiple levels on a 2D plane while shooting bad guys and avoiding enemy fire. He can propel himself with the gun and lift himself off the ground with the power of the recoil. Some of you might have noticed the cool game mechanic is similar to other games you've seen in the past. Look, fuck off, okay? I've made one actual game before in my life, and it was 4 minutes long. If I become more confident in my technical and time management skills, I can spend some time trying to reinvent the wheel. But until then, have a wheel. Have Wheel Classic. Well, the first step for someone like me, someone rusty when it comes to making games, is to open up a tutorial. All of the basic movements and shooting and placeholder sprites in this game were created by watching the excellent Sean Spaulding tutorial series on how to create a platformer. I've got the basics in place. I have a character, he can move around, he can aim a gun and shoot. There are enemies who can aim and shoot back. I can enter different rooms and a little transition will play. And all of the important movement choices like recoil and movement speed and jump height are all bound to variables I can change on a whim. If you've seen any of Sean Spaulding's tutorials yourself, you might be looking at this and saying, Julian, this is more or less a carbon copy of the tutorial that you've been watching, with some of the variables changed a bit. Why are you showing us this? Why not make something new, you pallid sack of decaying flesh? First of all, that's overly personal. Second of all, that's what I'm hoping the second part of this month will be about. The second fortnight is going to be for cleanup. I'm going to turn it from a sterile bundle of pre-existing assets into something unique. Awful, probably, but unique. See you at the end of the month.